Kerida Hija, when you were born, we named you after the sky. I wanted you to have a new name, free from the struggles of those that came before you. While you are sleeping, I have a few minutes to start to write down for you the history of our ancestral family name, Bejarano, which means from Behar, so that when you are older, you will know about the Sephardic diaspora and your ancestors' journeys from land to land. I'm weaving this story together for you from fragments of memories and stories told to me when I was growing up in Canada by my mother in her second language, through our family's inherited textiles, knit shawls, embroidered tablecloths, and a delicate lace circle like a magical spider web, as well as through academic research and the creation of my own rituals, stories, and textiles. Hija, you were born in the city of Toronto, Canada, on the unceded territories of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. The origin of the name Toronto was Takaronto, meaning where there are trees and water. Before clothing was mass-produced in third world countries, women created magic by tying knots and weaving together threads to form second skins spun from plant and animal fibers. Before embroidery became a tool of subjugation for women and relegated to a lower classification in the hierarchy of the arts in Western society, embroidery on clothing provided spiritual protection, and it was considered an extension of the decorative, protective functions of magical tattoos. Still today, with each knot, you can weave a spell, tell a story, and create magic for repairing, for protection, for beauty, and for remembering. As a little girl, whenever I wasn't feeling well, my mother would say, "Why don't you get Septa's blue shawl from the dresser?" Septa, who spoke 8 languages, was also a master knitter, and her famous blue shawl with the long fringes was a remedy for sadness and the common cold. Your great-great-grandmother, Julia Bejarano, was known for sitting on the balcony in my Septa's apartment on Mount Carmel in Haifa, singing in ancient Judeo-Spanish while she knit, sewed, and embroidered intricate and delicate masterpieces. For hundreds of years, our ancestors lived in the medieval village called Behar in the Castilla y León region of Spain. In 1492, along with the entire Jewish population, they were forced into exile during the Spanish Inquisition. Many carried their house keys into the diaspora, never forgetting the golden era of their Spanish origins. Spain came to represent an idealized, lost homeland from which they never disassociated. Settling across North Africa and the Turkish Empire in tightly knit diaspora communities, within the domestic sphere of crowded urban neighborhoods, Sephardic women developed their own folk religion, which consisted of elaborate ritual practices to govern the interpersonal relations of the community and to manage the spirit realm. Much of the ethnographic research on Sephardic women's domesticated religion describes a gendered division between sacred practices that developed under the influence of the local Islamic culture and as a result of being excluded from participation in the public realm of the religion. Sephardic women were not taught to read and were not given access to the sacred texts of the Torah. In the Sephardic tradition, the image of women sewing by the window while singing folk songs, reminiscing about their medieval Spanish homeland, was reconstructed in folk literature and is echoed in contemporary poetic works. The act of sewing and singing offered women an interdisciplinary creative channel, and it was a portal into the public sacred realms from which they were otherwise entirely excluded. The Sephardic scholar Michal Held has put forward the term wandering textiles to describe a technique in which domestic fabrics, pillowcases, and tablecloths were repurposed and sewn together to create wrappings for sacred texts in the synagogue. The Torah scroll, the most sacred text in the Jewish religion, was treated and dressed like royalty in finely embroidered robes. Many of these same textiles were used to support and covered women's bodies, believed to be a source of magical protection during childbirth. Isn't it amazing, Hija, that women were allowed to wear the robes that adorned the Torah, but they were not allowed to actually read the text held within? Embroidered tablecloths have also served a vital role in cultural preservation in the diaspora. They have been the ground and centerpiece of weekly rituals around the dinner table, representing renewal, the women presiding over these ceremonies enacting a form of Jewish shamanism to ensure the transmission of a culture without a home, uprooted time and again. In my research of Sephardic embroidery, I find it notable that a people in exile created botanical abstractions and esoteric symbolism from the Kabbalah, rather than replicating plants and elements that would have been present in the land around them. What is the relationship between land, culture, place, embodiment, and embroidery patterns? The North American culture that we live in hasn't provided us with meaningful rituals to acknowledge the fraught history of the land on which I am raising you, or the lands from which we have come. There is a concept in Judaism called tikkun olam. It suggests that we each have a responsibility to do our best to repair the world. Daughter, what are the new patterns and rituals to honor our history as exiles and the lands that we are now guests upon? Hija, I want to leave you with stories, songs, and ritual art objects that you can carry with you easily. I want to walk into a gallery space carrying an entire exhibition in a traveler's bag, and to install the exhibition as part of a ritual performance that demonstrates the nomadic and fluid nature of each textile object. Tablecloths with embroidered medicinal plants, wildflowers, rocks that also function as paintings. Healing shawls that are wearable sculptures, pillowcases that double as memorial urns and iPad holders, quilts that hold digital stories, songs, poems, and amulets. During the closing, I will ritually repack the exhibition back into my traveler's bag and walk out of the gallery. Daughter, this letter is inspired by Stephanie Springay's essay about intimacy in the research creation process, Sean Wilson's research as ceremony, and Bell Hook's article, Aesthetic Inheritances. We are living here in Canada, known as Turtle Island by the Indigenous peoples, and the memory of Sephardic customs are fading. There are cyber Ladino communities, digital homelands in which all conversations are held in Judeo-Spanish. Here I am, daughter, while you sleep, trying to piece together the stories of our grandmothers and to create new rituals to connect not only to the memory of our digital homeland, but also to this land upon which we are living, so that you can carry it with you wherever you may go. Love, Mama.